Hello friends, welcome to another Turning Point video. This is one I was just particularly thinking about this morning and something that I've been working on for a while myself. It's actually a lot to do with about bringing your presence into the world. It's actually a lot to do with being more, instead of being affected by the world and pushed around by the world, it's a bit more about how do I occupy my own space, so self-awareness, and then becoming a little bit more spatially aware, and then of course other aware. So how can you have an impact and make a difference? Of course, what I'm also talking about is shifting from not how you look and how you sound and everything else, but shifting, which is your ambition, you know, and our thoughts about how does this make me look and how do I fit in and all those sort of things, but shifting to how do I have an impact in life. And the interesting thing to do that is, as you progressively do that, you also progressively deconstruct your ego. You pull apart the parts of yourself, the mind-made parts of yourself that you've built up as life's gone on from a very young age. We've built up this other version of ourselves that we feel we need to present to the world. And there's a little mindset that sits back behind just about everybody I've ever worked with, and myself included, that is a mindset of roughly these thoughts: either I'm not good enough, or I can't do enough, or it's never enough. And this feeling of not enough, and all these different levels, drives us to want to create or do more, but not from a healthy place. It's almost like it's tied in with how we appear to everybody else. It's tied in with how we fit in, whether or not we have some sort of status in the world, or some sort of position or standing in the world. So this whole not good enough feeling we try and build this ego, or build this identity, or build this place where at least I could feel good about myself in the world. Now, of course, what that does is build another version of ourselves. Eckhart Tolle refers to this sort of stuff as the little me, or the pain body that sits behind it is the pain that we feel when we don't feel good enough. And so our ego is the structure that we build and becomes a little version of yourself. When we say little version of yourself, it can be big and carrying on, but it's actually very, very small compared to spiritually who you are. So I want to mention quickly, I want to get through this as quick as I can, so it's a short one for you, but I want to mention quickly that if we work on very basic understanding of body, mind and soul, and at a physical level, yes, we're here, we've got bills to pay, we've got things to do, we have a life, a material world that we need to deal with and do as well as we can at. We have a mind that's making up all sorts of thoughts and assumptions and conclusions, and has opinions and attitudes and right and wrong, good and bad, judgment, all those sort of things. So we have a mind, and then we have a soul or a spirit, or that more pure energy that is your actual true essence. So really what we're talking about in those three equations, there's not a problem with the body and there's not a problem with the soul, but the biggest issue is with our mind and what it's actually fixed on or trying to achieve. So this mind, this voracious mind that wants to feed on everything the whole time throughout what we call life, is the big gatekeeper that sits between the body, living just a comfortable life and enjoying the peace of life, you know, nature, the sunshine, all that sort of stuff. Rather than the simplicity of that, we get into the complexity of how I've got to earn this and do that and impress this person and get to here and in the future and the past and all this sort of stuff. All the world of dualities exists in that mind, particularly in that subconscious mind. A place where all the memories are, and a place where all the emotion and the past hurt is. So that's the issue in the middle. When you actually begin to see those things, and even while I'm talking about it, perhaps you can sense it, that when you begin to sense it and feel it and notice it, something else begins to rise behind it, and it's your awareness of yourself, your unconditioned self, who you are without all that thinking. So without getting into too much theory or philosophy on it, it's just basically, who are you, the unconditioned you? Who's the real you without all the worries and the fears and the things that you've gathered along the way? So that's our mission here. Our number one mission, our number one purpose in my understanding is that we're here to discover ourselves as that unconditioned, beautiful source that does in fact connect with all the other beautiful people and space and environment, everything else that's going on around us. So that's really the bliss. That's the enlightenment. There's an old Buddhism saying, I think it is something along the lines of, the first stage of enlightenment is always suffering. So in other words, as we're shifting from body consciousness to soul consciousness, we've got to go through the suffering of the mind. We literally have to go through the stages where you don't feel like you feel magical, beautiful, powerful, connected, peaceful, enough. And your mind says the opposite, that you're not enough. So I wanted to talk today, I started wanting to talk about purpose, and I've gone a slightly different tact, but I wanted to talk to you today about purpose, living a life of purpose. So I talk about shifting from ambition to purpose. In other words, our ambition is always to get this and that done. Often, sometimes it can be from passion, which is powerful, follow that for sure. But a lot of times it's caught up and tangled up in, because when I get that, then I'll get this, and then I'll get that. And so we're out of present time, and we're living on the promises of the world, of not only our mind, but the group mind and society and everything else that says, once I get that, I'll be happy. So we're literally being led down a garden path, not just by our own thoughts, by the collective thoughts of everybody else. So purpose is an interesting one, because rather than our ambition and what's in this for me, purpose is more about actually what's the impact I can have. So if you took the passion that sits in your ambition, the thing that drives you, I had a passion for the ocean, for Ironman racing, I just had a passion for it. But when I followed that because I wanted to be better than that guy that beat me up when I was younger, it led to more problems. A collection of great things and a collection of great problems. If you can follow the passion, but ask yourself the question, what's my purpose? In other words, if I did that passion really well, as good as I possibly could, be as present as I could, everyone I was dealing with, if I was more connected to them while I did it, what impact would I have whilst I was pursuing my passion? Or whilst I was pursuing my ambitions, what impact would I have? That's probably the easiest way to find out on a feeling level or touch on what your purpose is. Your purpose is the impact you have on the world when you're doing what you love, what you love, what your bliss is, what brings your spirit alive. As you do it, the impact you have is the purpose for you doing it. So you could say my purpose is to do it, but your purpose is to actually create the impact that is created when you do it. The more consciously you do it, the more aware you do it, the more you embrace it and love it and know that that's you on the right track, it has a bigger impact and your certainty comes in stronger and stronger. So we're talking about shifting to purpose and shifting out of ambition. So you feel as though you're driven by passion, but you also know that everything has a purpose, everything has a meaning. So that's what I wanted to talk about. The last part of it is there's something magical in it. It's not just that you do your purpose, and it's not just that you have an effect, but something crazy happens. When you pursue it and when you follow it, you literally turn the world upside down. Instead of actually being driven by the same energy that's driving us at a group consciousness, which is what's in it for me, how can I get ahead, how can I, which is competition, not good enough, all these things. Instead of not only being sucked into it, but being hypnotized by it and confused by it, you begin to awaken to it, and you see how many of us are actually hooking into my needs, what I want for me next. So pursue it, have a look, work out what your passion is, ask the question, if I followed it fully, what purpose would it serve? How would it help? What impact would it make? And feel how fully that feels amazing inside when you allow that in, and pursue it. If you're busy and you can't pay the bills and you've got to work and everything, just put 1% of your day aside to start building and investing in your purpose, the impact you're meant to have here. It'll be very unique to me, it'll be very unique to many other people. It is your special reason for existing, and when you do it, you'll feel so, not only so enlightened and happy, but you'll also feel so engaged and so able to see what you need to do next. Funny thing is, the next thing you'll want to do is help other people do the same. So lots of love. We are working through these things so we can be right here, right now. Or you could say, if we be here right here, right now, we might be able to work through these things. So it is all about being here and be now. And what I always say is bring it into now and never underestimate the power of who you are.